An essential choice every Guardian makes is what gear to use. To better understand your gear, let's go over what the different stats are. Every piece of armor has 6 unique stats that contribute to its overall effectiveness. The first of these stats is mobility. This determines how quickly you can walk and also improves how high you can jump. Note this does not affect your sprint speed. If you're playing on a hunter, this also reduces the cooldown of your dodge. The next stat is resilience. This will add a small amount of extra shielding to your Guardian and reduce the damage you take from breaking out of a stasis freeze. If you're playing on Titan, this also reduces the cooldown of your barricade. Next is recovery. This determines how fast your health will begin to recover after you have stopped taking damage. If you're playing on Warlock, this will also reduce the cooldown of your Rift ability. Next up is Discipline. This reduces the cooldown of your Grenade ability. After that, you have Intellect. This reduces the cooldown of your Super. And finally, Strength. This will reduce the cooldown of your Charged Melee ability. Looking now at weapons, each weapon has 7 unique stats, all which give them their unique feel. Starting with Impact, this is the most damage each shot from this weapon will deal. Next up is Range. This determines how far away this weapon can effectively damage enemies. The greater this stat, the better your hit registration and damage over longer ranges. Moving on to Stability, the better this stat, the less recoil your weapon will have while firing continuously. Next is Handling. This determines how quickly you can swap to and from this weapon, and also how quickly you can aim down sights with it. Reload speed, as the name suggests, is just how long it takes your weapon to reload. Keep in mind you don't have to wait for a reload animation to finish before you can start firing. As soon as you see ammo in the magazine, you can fire. Some weapons will have a rounds per minute stat, such as auto rifles, and others will have a charge time or draw time stat, such as fusion rifles or bows. Note that in general, the slower a weapon fires, the more damage it deals per shot. Now that we've gone over stats, let's go over armor and rarity levels. White, or common gear, is the default gear provided to you after being resurrected. This gear isn't much seen outside the introductory mission, as it provides little benefit to your Guardian in terms of power and usability. The stats on common gear are often the lowest out of any other gear in the game. Up next is uncommon or green gear. Uncommon gear is your first look into the extra benefits gear can provide to your Guardian. This armor provides minorly improved stats, and your weapons begin to roll with unique perks. For example, this uncommon shotgun now has a perk called Extended Mag, and you can now decide between having more range or having more stability and handling. Moving on to rare or blue gear, rare gear begins to add additional function to your armor, as you can now apply modifications to it. Mods are additions that you can add to your armor and weapons to improve their stats or attributes. In order to apply mods to your armor, you first need to increase its energy. Armor energy is a system that allows you to unlock up to 10 total points on an armor piece, that you can then spend on using mods you have unlocked. To start, you will only have access to minor mods. The maximum cost for these will be 2 points. As you play the game, complete activities, or gain reputation, you will gain new mods and improved versions of mods you already have. Looking now at this rare shotgun, it now has an additional perk that allows it to auto-reload after being stowed, alongside Extended Mag. You are also still given some choice of barrel perks to improve certain stats. Up next is Legendary Gear. Legendary Gear is going to be the most common you'll find throughout the endgame, as it is just one level below the most powerful gear available to your Guardian. On average, Legendary Gear provides greatly improved stats in all regards, and its armor pieces have an additional mod slot for heavy customization, whereas weapons now come with a variety of interesting and unique perks, such as this Elemental Capacitor or Surplus. You also have barrel option perks. And something we'll cover next, a Masterwork. The final form of Legendary Gear is achieved after it's been Masterworked. Masterworked armor is denoted by a golden border surrounding the piece of gear, and provides a further increase to an existing stat on weapons, and a flat increase to all stats on armor. Masterworking armor also unlocks all 10 points for applying mods, allowing you the most freedom when customizing your Guardian. In order to masterwork a piece of armor, you will need to spend a lot of in-game materials. It's recommended that you wait until you get a piece of legendary gear that has both high stats for your class ability and recovery before masterworking it. And finally, we have exotic gear. Exotic gear is often regarded as the most powerful gear you can obtain, and as such, you are limited to only equipping one exotic armor piece and one exotic weapon at a time. Taking a look at this exotic chest piece called Phoenix Protocol, the exotic perk of this armor allows you to regenerate up to half of your Well of Radiance by defeating enemies while standing in it. And finally, taking a look at this exotic hand cannon called the Last Word. It is capable of firing faster than any hand cannon in the game. It also reloads faster and does increased damage to critical spots while landing shots from the hip. The trade-off is that this weapon also has much lower range than the majority of hand cannons. It's worth noting that exotic weapons also do 20% more damage to all minor enemies with red health bars, making them ideal for use in all areas of the game. And those are the basics of gear. Happy hunting, Guardian.